Hey, Jessica. It's Christy.
Hey, Christy, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good.
So I am not going to show my video today because I'm still out here at our uh, high school graduation parade, but I'll be on the
Oh,
call. And so I've already emailed John to tell him that I'm not going to welcome and I don't have any announcements.
okay.
So, yeah. If for some reason he didn't check that email, if you'll just let him know because the
Yes.
noise, yeah, will probably be kind of,
Yeah,
yeah, but
I'll let him know.
awesome. I might say hello to a few people as I see them on. Is there anybody else on right now? Just us?
I don't think so. I think it's just us.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Anything new with the conference?
No, no one's responding back, so.
Okay.
So if
No
you have
worries.
any suggestions, I would gladly
How
take
many more slots do we have to fill?
um, let me see here. We have
How long? How long?
I have it 2 health slots, 3 family service slots, and 1 director slot.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, I'll think of another director's block.
Okay, yeah.
And we can go from there.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Or good
Well,
morning still.
I think Christy's got the best spot out there.
Of course, I've got the best spot. Y'all can join my parade. I'm going to stop my video, though. Did you get my email, John? I don't have any announcements.
Yep. No, you're good. You're good. I'm officially gone totally downhill. I'm wearing a hoodie.
I think it's great.
Totally downhill.
No worries. You do not have to have business attire right now.
That's right. Hey, Rhonda, did my email make sense? All right, let's see who else we got on here. Gallery view. Here we go. Jessica, how are you?
I'm doing good.
All right, excellent, excellent. I got to raise this up somehow. That's better. I don't like that angle. See all my chins.
Yes, John, I got it. Sorry, I was on a call.
Perfect. Jessica, did you ever get a copy of that letter I referenced?
No, I didn't.
Okay, that's fine. So that makes me think that their intent was just sort of a notification to the organization rather than individuals.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So I talked to them, and they're fine. It was just a formality that they had to send out.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you told me though, because if I had gotten that, I would have been freaked out.
Exactly. Yeah, just an administrative thing. All right, so we got a couple of minutes, and we've got people slowly trickling in. There's Jennifer. We see you loud and clear.
All righty then.
Good, good. All right, we'll give it another minute or two. Jennifer, have all your folks joined on?
I just sent them the link again. I'm trying to look to see if they're up here. I see Mark.
Hey, good afternoon. Hello, everybody.
Hey, Jennifer, it's Christy. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, you're most welcome, Christy. Why you don't have a camera on today?
Here I am. It's our high school graduation parade, so our superintendent has asked that we all be here. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, congratulations to all the seniors and preschoolers.
Yes. So, anywho,
Yes.
but thank you for your time. Your information is going to be wonderful.
Oh, thank you guys.
Muted. Okay, gang, so I've got 1 minute past, so I think in the interest of everyone's time, we will go ahead and get started. I think as Christy has noted, both visually, audio, and through her text down at the bottom, she is at the high school graduation there in her county. I don't think she has any updates to share, but Christy, is there anything that you want to share with us at the outset before we get started?
No, not at this time. I just appreciate everybody staying in touch and working together to do its best for children and families and all of our staff.
All right, excellent. A few reminders from the KHSA office and staff. I think everyone has seen, but Monday, June 1st, we will have our virtual board of directors meeting. This will be our first board of directors meeting since January. Our original goal had been to convene our board of directors during our March annual conference, but as everyone knows, we've had to postpone that until September. We do have a couple of key business items that we need to address. First and foremost, we have nominations for 4 officer positions that we will be holding open nominations from the floor. And then following the meeting on June 1st, each of our Head Start grantees will be provided the standard 3 ballots that they each receive, and we will be conducting that vote electronically. So we're able to do that via SurveyMonkey, so people won't be pressured to do it during the call. but they will have all the information they need on the call in order to do that in the days following that. So hopefully we're doing that call on Monday. It would be my expectation that people can cast their ballots, and we'll have everything in by that following Friday and be able to announce who our 4 elected officers are. So people should have that information. The other key business item that we have is the review and adoption of our new strategic plan. KHSA went through, I think, a very long and deliberative process last year. Took about 6 months or so to do it, but went through and created an entirely new strategic plan for the organization, sort of recasting our mission, vision, values, new goals, new objectives, things that I think are going to lead the organization in the coming years in order to grow and become even better than we are now. Everyone has been sent a copy of that. I would encourage you to review it in depth. If you have questions before the meeting, please send those to me, send those to any of the other officers. Otherwise, our plan is to review, discuss, and adopt that strategic plan on Monday, June 1st. Following that, we will then get into a review and possibly revision of the bylaws in order to make sure that KHSA's bylaws comport with that new strategic plan. And then we will also be looking at the creation and standing up of a new committee structure. And that'll be one of the key ways in which we're beginning to re-engage people with the organization really beyond our directors and meeting attendees. Let's see, we've got, last week we submitted a rapid response grant application to the American Heart Association's Voices for Healthy Kids program. We're waiting to hear back on that, but otherwise we continue to participate in a variety of webinars and efforts. I'd let folks know again that our conference is coming up September 9th to the 11th. It's in Louisville at the Galt House, the same place it was supposed to be in March. Again, those of you that had registered for the March meeting and did not request a refund, your registrations and fees have been advanced to that new conference. You don't need to do anything, and we'll make sure that we're sending you the new and updated information. I would encourage folks to go to the website. We've got information not only on COVID-19 resources, but also anything and everything you want to know about the conference is there. So you'll be able to see information about the program, the agenda, the speakers. You'll be able to see lodging information. The room block is open. Those of you that are planning to stay at the hotel, I would encourage you to go ahead and make your reservations. That being said, that room block will not close until the end of August. So you will have plenty of time in the new fiscal year if you need to be making your reservations in the next fiscal year. So that room block will remain open and you'll be able to do so. I think that's pretty much it for us. I might ask Sally to provide any updates from GOEC and the Head Start Collab. I know that there was some talk this last week about some programs had not submitted their paperwork for some of the new money that was coming down. And then I know that we have seen the date of June 15th as a time when programs could begin reopening. And I know we're still awaiting guidance on those things. So Sally?
Thanks, John. You're absolutely right. They're still developing guidance on who opens, how they open, what that looks like, starting June 15th and beyond. So be looking for that, and that will come through CHFS. You can get on, so the governor's office has a COVID website, but I don't know if you guys are aware that CHFS has their own, which I personally think is easier to find information about childcare. So if you go to the CHFS website and Google childcare COVID or whatever, it takes you to DCC's information. And me personally, I think it's easier to find things on there. The governor's office has general plus everything else across the state. But if you go to DCC's, it has directly related to childcare. I sent out to all the Head Start directors the information on submitting that signature for the contract for the CARES Act fund. I really, really encourage everybody to do that because that's the only step that you have to do to receive that funding if you're a licensed childcare facility. So if you do not, then you do not have access to those funds. After I sent that out, I had a couple of responses from childcare directors that said that it was definitely worth the effort because it was quite a bit of money attached to that. So just make sure that you do that. If you need more information or need that again, reach out. I can resend that to you or send that to whomever you in your program who needs that to submit that submit that contract signature. The GOEC, of course, had to cancel ECI completely this year. It was supposed to be in June. We have contracted with the Galt House for June 2021, and I believe that's the 9th through the 11th or the 7th through the 10th. I'll have to look again. I don't have that right off the top of my head. But we had already contracted with several national presenters. So instead of just, scrapping those contracts, we asked them to change that to a virtual model, which they did. Those will start on May 26th. So look for that in the next couple of days for us to push out what those trainings will be. There will be multiple trainings offered live virtually, but then those trainings will also be recorded and housed on TRIS, so that you can watch them probably up to 2 years, and you still will receive a certificate and TRIS credit through that usual channel for either the live ones or the recorded ones. So make sure that you, if you don't receive that information or need something else, reach out and let me know. And I think that's all that I have for now.
Okay, thanks, Sally. A week or two ago, I got a call from our good friend Jennifer Reed over in South Carolina, and she said that she and many of her colleagues had been putting together a program just to sort of share information with Head Start grantees dealing with what do you need to think about as you plan to reopen. She invited me to sort of observe one of those sessions, and it was really good, and we thought that it needed to be shared with all the folks here in Kentucky. So Jennifer and her colleagues have agreed to join us this afternoon in order just to sort of talk about those issues and raise some questions to hopefully provide some guidance both now and into the future for programs as you're thinking about reopening. So Jennifer, I'm going to turn it over to you. And if you need me to do anything in terms of giving you access to the screen or anything like that, just let me know. But otherwise, I know you're a Zoom professional and you can knock it out. So Jennifer, I'm going to turn it over to you and your folks.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. I have halfway learned how to stop talking on mute. That's number one. So I see my good friend Marcus here and Michael is here. I will do Billy's portion this morning, but the true thing is how to reopen in, number one, a safe and a conscientious manner, and make sure that you're following all of the regs that are pushed out. So if you just give me hosting capabilities, I can share my screen. I think I have it. Yay. So basically, pop-up knowledge series, and any questions that you want to ask, we can ask at the end of this, or if you want to start putting them in the chat box, you are more than welcome.
Can everybody see Jennifer's screen? Everybody good? All right, excellent.
Okay, so basically, I'm going to start off with the portion of the education outlook. So what is your summer school going to look like? We have to think of 3 things. We have to make sure that we think about our classroom arrangement. We have to make sure that we think about what are we going to teach our children, because remember, the main focus for the summer school funds is to ensure that our children are kindergarten ready. So you want to make sure that your curriculum is of, how can I say it? It is a strong curriculum to make sure that they are kindergarten ready according to your state standards. And you also want to think about, well, what are my policies and procedures going to look like? You know, coming back into this, and Michael will talk about this right here a little bit in his session, how are you going to screen individuals as they come into your program? We have a method where you're reducing the amount of foot traffic inside of your programs as it relates to employees, visitors, and your clients. We can also assist you writing your policies and procedures because, you know, as we move forward, now we have to kind of think about pandemic policies and procedures. When the last hurricane basically almost took the East Coast off, when we had Maria and Matthew, we had to come up with a preparedness plan. So basically, because this has happened, now we have to kind of think about how to move forward going forward. You should have some type of screening checklist, because if somebody comes in with a fever, what is your procedures to get them out of your building? And last but not least, how are you going to return to work? Are you going to stagnate coming back to work? Are you going to flex coming back to work? These are some of the things that we can help you figure out. But going back to the classroom, creating a new classroom, we all know that we're getting a lot of mixed messages about children with masks. CDC said something about children under 2 should not wear masks because it affects their breathing. Then you have individuals telling you, make sure all your children have masks. The cutest and the most funniest thing that I've seen is 4-year-olds trying to wear masks. They're sharing the mask, and that's definitely not the true intent of the mask. So those are going to be some of the things. And having your teachers understand the difference between sanitizing and disinfectant, that is going to be key. So if for additional information on the education outlook, all of our information will be on the last slide, and John will have this PowerPoint for your use. Now, as it relates to fiscal accountability post-COVID-19, you guys, you need to maximize all of the quality funding that's coming out. Please make sure that, I hope that you have met the deadlines of Friday with all of the other funds. Now, remember, if you did not, because I know across the nation, a lot of people are saying, I don't want to open up, I'm scared. And I say, well, we have to come back to some sense of normalcy. So basically, if you are not going to do the summer school, please be prepared when the question comes down to say, well, how did you ensure that your children were kindergarten ready? And I know a lot of programs did the packets, but how did you ensure the packets were actually facilitated? How did you ensure that teachers were actually in communications with your families? JFK, we created virtual studies where we help programs set up Zoom accounts and telephone accounts to actually track times and conversations with families. Now, we do know that you're not going to use as much money operationally, like your buildings, your light bills, and all of that. So you're going to have excess money left over. Make sure that you're spending down. You're going to have TNTA dollars left over because we did not go to the national conference. We probably went virtually, but we saved a ton of money by doing it virtually. And I was one of the presenters, and I hope that you guys saw my session because we had fun. And make sure that you are audit ready because they released, and the guidelines have truly been, and I'm reading his notes because you guys know I am not fiscal compatible. So basically what he's saying is make sure that you're audit ready. And with the audit, that means that the monies could have been moved around. The guidelines have been relaxed. So make sure that with the relaxation of the guidelines, you're still audit ready. And making sure that you are prepared and using your money with the funds that you're supposed to. At this time, I'm going to turn over to Mr. Mark Davis, and he is going to fill us in with program management and post-COVID-19.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks, John, and everybody for the opportunity to share some of the things we've learned as professionals, colleagues, and advocates for children in the field of Head Start, Early Head Start. So part of my specialty is PM and monitoring compliance and program operations. So I want to talk to you just for a few minutes about some things to consider in addition to what Jennifer mentioned about reopening post-COVID-19. So obviously, when you look at designing your reopening strategy, some things to consider first, as many programs are considering right now, is to look at how and which way will you determine which children come first, for example. One thing to consider would be consider the children of essential working family first, or what we call frontline employees, consider those first. Some other things that Michael will talk about in a moment in more detail as far as resources to help you do this is to, one, is to minimize any non-essential employees or volunteers from entering the actual facility. So you may want to refrain from any long-term or regular volunteers because they're not essential as far as part of operations. And then secondly, conducting temperature checks before any person enters the actual facility. So consider staging a staff person or persons outside with the appropriate resources or tools to ensure that every person who enters the facility, children and staff persons, do not have a fever or any COVID-19 symptoms for that regard. And then secondly, when we look at transitioning from staff from being at home with their children to conducting checks on families and providing some level of instruction to children, we look at how do we transition staff back to physically being on site and what that needs to look like. So now is the opportunity to provide some, if you have the time and resource, to provide some virtual training and resources to help support staff to get them to a place where not only do they feel comfortable, but they feel confident and competent and able to maintain a safe and healthy environment. And so that may mean a more fluid system of having a floater or different resources to make sure they keep checks on classrooms. And in addition to making sure you have some level of checks and balances when it comes to the resources of employing the uses of masks, sanitizer, hand washing, things of that nature. And then secondly, supporting staff by, obviously we have most programs across the nation are thinking right now, as we would have been closing this time of year, is now thinking about your pre-conference, pre-service conference planning. And whether you're a larger or smaller program, many staff feel somewhat of a reservation as to returning to large groups, whether it's a few hundred or a couple thousand. So one thing to consider is conducting a hybrid approach to your pre-service conference planning, meaning doing some on-site physically, where you can employ various mechanisms of social distancing and keeping everybody comfortable and safe, but also doing some things virtually with consultants like us, for example, that can still help you to meet needs and prepare your children, prepare your staff rather, for receiving children and families back in the fall. So if you have any questions, Jennifer will post my information before we're done. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have meanwhile. Thank you. You're on mute, Jennifer.
And now Mr. Michael will take over with the fingerprint.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Jennifer, and thank you, John. I want to introduce myself. I'm Michael Reed, and I'm no relations to the beautiful Jennifer Reed, but we do spell our name exactly the same. We have introduced to the Head Start community a product that allows you as a program to do a standalone stand-back scan of your families, the children entering the building, as well as the parents or guardians that are bringing the children there. It is a device that runs and looks pretty much like a small tablet. And you can mount these devices on stands, and they come in many different sizes, as well as you can mount them on the wall. Because they're small in size, and if you're busing children, you could actually take this device on a bus with you and do the scanning of the people involved, the families that are involved. On our next screen, I just kind of want to summarize real quickly how this happens so that you can get a feel for what goes on. So in this particular case, we're having a parent and a child walk into the center. And so the child would walk up to the scanner. As I said before, you can have multiple height scanners. I would recommend having 2 scanners in your building at the entry point. One at the height of a child, maybe a 2.5, 3 foot tall stand, and then another one about 5 foot or 5.5 feet tall for a parent. Once the child stands within 3 feet of the unit, the system will scan the child's face. It will identify the child, who the child is, and at the exact same time, take the body temperature of that child. It is an intelligent device. It can do many things with that information, and we can help you program what you want to do with it. But primarily what it will do, it will tell the person whether they passed or failed based upon the temperature. If it does not recognize the person, if it doesn't recognize the person that's standing in front of it, then you'll have another procedure in place. It may be someone who is visiting your site or something, or a new child. I don't know what happened to my screen. Jennifer?
We're here, Michael.
Okay, my screen just went.
And now you're on mute.
My whole screen just went blank. Once you're ready to scan the parent, and they both scan separately, by the way, in less than a second, it will identify the face of that parent, and in the software, it will take the temperature of that parent. Now, you would have procedures in place. Jennifer, Mark, they can work with you in setting up those procedures. If you don't have them, if there's a problem, you would not allow that parent or that child to enter the classroom. If everything is good, then you can pass them through from a temperature standpoint. Now, our system, this fingerprints intelligent terminal actually interfaces with our child management solution called Fingerprints. Inside of our system, once it identifies the child and the parent, it automatically will log that person in as attending school that day. It will also automatically place the parent's signature into our system. Within our system, we have a spot in which the parent can have their signature automatically placed on the system. So they don't have to rewrite their name all the time. They can just put in a 4-digit code to identify them. But because our system identifies that parent immediately, we know who that person is. It automatically inserts their signature in the appropriate spot, and then it will accept that child into the program. It time and date stamps all that information, so it goes right in. I see a question from a HS Hauser or Hughes. The question was, does it interface? Our product, Fingerprints, is a competitive product to Child Plus. We will not interface with Child Plus with this solution. You can run it separately and alone. You don't have to have our solution. You still can get all the information and you can export it. I would imagine you could export the information into Child Plus. We will not be doing that in this particular case. But inside of our package, because we captured information real time at that moment, you're able to run a very large, sophisticated group of reports that are generated in the package. If you're doing it standalone, we can help you create and generate Excel reports that suit your needs. So you don't have to have our fingerprint software solution to do this.
So thank you so much, Michael and Mark. And I do have to say, we all know that the Focus Area 1 review still continued COVID-19 through the beginning, start, and the post. The review season will start back up because I know a lot of programs have already contacted us and said, well, Jennifer, they're asking for dates. And I told them, I said, that is perfectly fine because life is definitely going to still go on. Please make sure that during the summer program, we can still come out and conduct class observations on your staff. They should, this is a good time because you will have a smaller portion of children and it'll be a more controlled group as well because these should be your current 4-year-old children. And please let me stress that your summer school children should be your current 4-year-old children and children who have IEPs. Please let me say it again. And you know, I'm saying this because it's going to come back to you in the near future. Your summer school children should be your current 4-year-old children and your children with IEPs. You should not have to go out and recruit any children for your summer program. And saying that, John, that's it. We're open for questions. I know that everybody has probably another Zoom to jump on in the next 15, 20 minutes or something. I know you guys are probably Zoomed out across the nation because that's what we've been. We've been WebExing, Zooming, Microsofting. We just didn't know that we were so far apart to be so close together.
Well, Jennifer, thanks very much. Mark and Michael, I appreciate your time as well. Are there any questions that other folks on the call might have of Jennifer, Mark, or Michael regarding some of the issues that they addressed about reopening? I know that as you're beginning to make your plans, clearly we're going to see guidance from the state and we'll be complying with that, but are there questions you have, concerns you have, ideas that you have that you want to share or ask of our guests? If so, just unmute yourself and ask away. Okay, I'm not seeing any, and that's okay. I think as folks really get into this question over the next month, I'm sure that there will be a variety of questions. I will be sharing the slides, and as you see up on the screen right now, our contact information for all the folks that we've heard from today. I would encourage you, if you've got questions or are requiring assistance with very specific and technical items, that you give Jennifer a call or you give anybody else a call who's been with us today and just sort of have that conversation. We want to make sure that everybody is doing what they're comfortable with, but we also want to make sure everybody's doing it the right way and no one's getting into trouble, either through people getting sick or violating some reg, or, you know, everybody's sort of, on the one hand, we're in it together. On the other hand, everybody is having to chart their own path. So it can be a very difficult period. Any other comments from anybody on the call? Okay, I would remind you that we have our board of directors meeting on June 1st. We're also going to be joined at that time by Lyle Hanna from the Hanna Resource Group. That is a sort of a small boutique HR firm here in Lexington that has been assisting us with our compensation and benefits survey. So they wanted to have an opportunity to chat with everybody at that time, hopefully garner some additional input into that process. Otherwise, if you have any questions between now and then, please let me know. We'll continue to share information and I'll get everything out about this call later today. Otherwise, I hope everybody has a really great week and we look forward to connecting again soon. Jennifer, thank you. Mark, thank you. Michael, thank you. Appreciate you joining us.
You're most welcome. Thank
You're
you
welcome.
guys. Have a great day.
All
All right.
Thanks, everybody.